Hometowns are here. New digs. Who dis? Welcome to Play in the Field, the Bachelor podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Field, the sports anchor at WABC here in New York City. Joined now, as always, by our two favorites, Jen Matarese, our Bachelor expert from here at WABC in New York, and Gina Sirico, joining us via Zoom out there at KABC in Los Angeles, our Bachelor insider. Ladies, welcome. So much to talk about, but first, my goodness, we have the new car smell in this studio. And if it doesn't feel officially official, how far Playing the Field has come, here we are, and this just feels awesome.
It's a beautiful studio.
It really is.
Yeah. And we're in here. The View has been in here for Behind the Table, so check their podcast out as well. But
a quick programming note for those of you that don't know, we have moved offices from the Upper West Side down here to downtown Manhattan, basically the Soho Tribeca area in Hudson Square. So we're part of this new Disney complex. It's a beautiful new building, and all of us feel like we've gotten a breath of fresh air here. I think we can all agree on that.
A new fresh start.
A new fresh start. Away we go, and we have a lot to talk about in this episode. They go to Scotland, and there was a lot to digest from the beginning here. And Gina, when they teased what was going on with Dina and Carolina, I felt like we knew we were in for a little bit of a wild ride in this episode.
Yep, and we definitely got that. I think we know, well, at least I know that Carolina has been the source of a lot of drama, and to rattle someone who's been to rattle the Ice Queen and to get her heated. Her self-proclaimed Ice Queen.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. That's something. So we're in for a lot of drama.
And we really are. And listen, I love that you guys call her the Ice Queen. Obviously, Carolina, a hot topic in this season, and we're going to talk a lot about that here going forward. But who got the first one-on-one but Juliana? And we kind of figured, at least I did, that she was going to be one of the final four to make it to Hometowns. So I think Grant just wanted to make sure, make it make it feel legit that she was going to be the one, that he gets to go home and meet her family. And their date was basically, and listen, I can't speak for you two, but I have two younger sisters, and I feel like that date was every girl's dream, going to a castle, getting fitted in your gown, and just having a magical day, being treated like a princess, basically.
I wouldn't hate it. I mean, wow, the valet greeting them, I was like, oh my gosh, it's basically like you have a butler, you have someone showing you around, the stylist. The clothes were interesting. I was like, wow, these are very bold colors. But it made sense once you saw it in the ballroom. And I thought that Grant really embraced the whole kilt situation.
Yeah, and I like that he had the furry purse. He's like, I don't know what they put in this thing, but I'm digging the look. And Gina, they go through all the pomp and circumstance, and, Cinderella's got nothing on me, whatever. But then we see them have this emotional moment at dinner where they bond over the fact that, she had some issues growing up, much like Grant did, with addiction in her family, and how she kind of felt isolated. And it was really, I felt, a really good bonding moment for the two of them.
Yeah, if anyone had any questions about the connection between them, I think this date pretty much put those aside. They do have a lot in common. She talked about feeling, like that she is not always wasn't always the bubbly girl that you see in front of him. She talked about how there was, her childhood was plagued by addiction. And, she was alone a lot. And I think that really touched him. And they bonded over it. By the way, I just would like to say that I have been to a castle in Scotland, and none of that ever happened.
You mean you didn't come in on a helicopter?
No. We did come in Land Rovers. But that's
listen, that's still pretty good.
It was great. But it was an amazing thing, and I'm so glad that it bonded them.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. I'm glad. Juliana has been one of my favorites since the beginning. My fellow Paisan, my fellow Italian girl. And so so I'm glad to see that she got that, had that moment with him.
And you know what? The sleuths will definitely have noticed this, and I know you two did as well. When she said, I'm falling for Grant, she said, I'm falling for you, or I feel like I could fall in love with you, or something that she said at the end of that one-on-one dinner. And then Grant, in the interview right afterwards with the producer, says, I'm feeling the same way. So at that point, you're like, oh, he might be. I forget exactly how she phrased it, but I'm falling in. I could see myself falling in love with this person, and they're really having strong feelings.
He's been very revealing this episode.
Yes, he has,
because he was very forthcoming with his emotions. We'll talk about it later with Latia as well, and. I mean, he's basically saying he could see her as his wife. Right. He could see the other one as his wife. And his statement was, this is what I'm looking for with Juliana. Yep. I mean, it sounded like a light bulb went off and there she was, you know, and I don't know, maybe she's the one. She's definitely a front runner.
I would agree.
He also brought up his lone wolf tattoo and that, you know, she talked about being alone a lot as a kid.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Completely, you know, understood it and resonated with it and told her about the lone wolf tattoo. And that's how he always felt, was like a lone wolf. And now maybe he's not going to be a lone wolf anymore now that he's, you know, he's close to finding his love. When
that date ended, ladies, did you think that she was the pick to win at that point?
To win the whole
thing?
Show?
Yes.
Yes, when he said, this is what I'm looking for? Yes.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
But then we get to Latia's date later,
we'll get to Latia. But in the moment, you know, you kind of have to take these things and kind of compartmentalize them, right? So this happens and you're like, oh, okay, he really feels stronger. Because again, and Gina talks about this, we don't get to see what happens behind the scenes. Yes. So we don't know what other conversations are taking place. And now we're seeing that they're relationship has gone further than maybe a lot of people thought it was going to.
And very quickly.
Very quickly.
It always felt, by the way, that anytime you saw them interact, it always felt like there was an ease with them. Kind of like if you look back to Joey's season, like he had that sort of ease with Kelsey. He had that sort of ease with Daisy. So it's like a definite, you know, he feels comfortable. And if, like, I think that helps, you know, as a lead, they're under so much pressure, and I feel like Grant definitely is feeling all of that pressure because he's got his own goals plus the goals of the show. So I do feel like he's under a lot of that. But like with people like Juliana, he feels at ease, and that's important.
There was definitely a comfort level, a genuineness between the two, and obviously now she's going to hometowns, which then sets the stage for the much talked about group date. And it's funny when they read the date card and you're trying to figure out, okay, who's the last one left to get the one-on-one. And it was Latia, and poor Zoe did not get a one-on-one.
I felt for her.
Yeah, and it's like she's got to be thinking, you know, by process of elimination, it's got to be my turn to get one. I'm the only one that hasn't gotten one yet.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. I was shocked as well. I thought for sure she would get one, but, you know, I think you're seeing that maybe Grant's two favorites are Juliana and Latia based on how that unfolded with those were the two last one-on-ones before hometowns. Maybe he was just making sure, like I said, that he felt as strongly about those two women as he thought he did. But we get to the group date, and Carolina obviously takes center stage here because it's one of those things that, and you both know and the listeners know that I've been very both outspoken and defensive about her because she's not someone that we've seen that calls women the B word. She's not calling women names. She's not being an ass to people on purpose. She is here for a reason to find her man, and I think, much like we've seen in previous seasons, her getting that first one-on-one, or one of the earlier one-on-ones, I should say, and having that magical day in Vegas when they go, like she was developing early feelings for him. And then it's tough, and I agree with her, to kind of sit back and watch everybody else catch up, right? Because you have that early momentum, and at no point did I think that she was saying anything wrong. I think she was expressing her feelings. Now, I will agree with both of you that she does need to read the room. And does she need to pout and kind of stand off to the side on this group date like she did and be like, oh, woe is me, I'm not having a great time? Was there part strategy involved in that? I do think so, because she knew that if she kind of went off to the side and did her little Carolina thing, that Grant was going to come over and get her some attention, and she hadn't gotten a one-on-one in so long. So she feels like now, where before she felt like she was in the lead, now she feels like she has to play catch-up.
But don't
you know what I mean?
Don't you think that when she had that conversation with Grant, when he was like, oh, what's wrong with you? Let's go talk, you know. And to her credit, she's right. He did come to her. He did ask her to go talk with him.
Yes.
So, you know, when Dina was saying later, like, oh, you pulled him aside, she was right. She did not pull him aside. But you could make the conversation as long or as brief as you want. And she took the time, you know. And I guess they did need some time to work through their issues. But it did cast a negative light on their relationship. You know, they spent more time digging out than they did building.
Gina, I know you got a lot to say, and before I give you the floor here, she said, never in the history of this show has a person gotten alone time and said, you know what, I think you need to go talk to the other women. That's never happened. So
really.
I have no issue with her. As long as Grant wanted that conversation to go, she was basically along for the ride at that point. And I do think Carolina was going to be one of Grant's final four for hometown, but I'm going to get to why it didn't go down the way that I thought it would.
I think we know why.
So, Gina, you go ahead, and now the floor is yours.
Here's what I'm going to say about Carolina. She is in public relations. She is in PR. She knows how to craft a narrative. That is her job. So she has been doing this all season. She has, you know, she will stir things up. The girls will get angry, and then she'll go crying to Grant about how she's been so wrong. And, you know, I don't want to talk about how, you know, we're having this drama, but you do want to talk about it. And she did it here too, where she's like, I don't want to keep bringing up all this, you know, I don't want to keep hashing it out, and I don't want to keep talking about how this, that, and the other. She purposely stood to the side and made sure that he saw that she was pouting and not happy. So that, of course, she knows him. She knew that he would bring her aside. She knew that this was how it was going to go, and she knew it was going to go her way, and she didn't care. That conversation, I don't think it went as well as she thought. And in the end, I think that it was definitely her downfall, because she just played the victim, you know, and, oh, I don't want to talk about it, and nothing I say and nothing I do is ever enough for these girls, and I'm just worried about you. And she also downplayed their relationship. She's like, I don't want to see, you know, like, it's so hard for me to see, like, you having all these connections with other people. And it's like, girl, you're on The Bachelor. This is what happens. And I'm sorry that, you know, I think maybe she thought that she could change the game a little bit. And once they had their connection, that he was just going to be like, sorry guys, show's over. I'm done. And, you know, he's with me. That's not the case. It's not how it works. And so to me, like, this little bit was her undoing in the end. And it's probably, I have a feeling that's probably what you're going to say, Ryan. I just think that we have to remember she's very adept at crafting a narrative, and she did that for herself all season.
And that's true. And Gina, I have no issue with what you just said, but only to remind you, and you pointed out, this is a competition. She is on The Bachelor. Yeah. And if I'm down to the final 7 and I know I don't have a one-on-one, I am doing whatever I can, if I'm in her shoes, to get alone time with Grant.
But don't you think it made her look like a victim to him, and her complaining about it? Do you think that was in her like that was good in his eyes? I don't think it was.
I think her time would have been better spent pulling him aside and keeping it positive and smooching him.
Listen, I guess I should not paraphrase, but I should clarify what I was trying to say. I had no issue with her wanting to get alone time. Maybe the way she went about it, Jen, to your point, kind of left a little bit to be desired, the poutiness and everything else. But, you know, from the jump, she's been real about how she feels, and I have no problem with her telling it like it is. And she wasn't having fun on the group date, so she wasn't having fun on the group date. And that's that. And she said when she sat down, like, listen, you know, you're going home to meet my family. Like, I don't take guys home to meet my family. Like, how do I know if you pick me? We haven't had a lot of time together. How do I know, you know, and then next thing is marriage maybe. Like, this is crazy. So
she made it her choice not to have a good time on that date. She said, I'm going to lay low, and then I'll just have my time.
Yeah, because she wasn't having a good time.
She made, no. Before they even went on the date, she said it.
Right. I think she knew she wasn't going to have a good time. That's my point.
I do think, though, that she was in a decent place with Grant at the end of that conversation. I don't think it was until after the cocktail party between all the women and Grant where he started hearing things from the other women about Carolina. And most importantly, what Dina said, and he trusts Dina. Dina, who he compared to his mother, So if the woman he thinks is going to be a straight shooter with him is telling him this and hadn't said a bad word about anybody the whole season so far, says this, I think it
but Carolina didn't say anything bad about anybody either. That's the whole point. And here's the other thing.
Negative the whole
we
time.
need to cue up Rose from a couple weeks ago. You did me dirty.
That's exactly what Dina did to her. Dina totally threw her under the bus. It was BS. I'm sorry.
No.
It was BS.
What Dina said was BS to you?
What Dina did was BS.
It was at no point were her intentions ever other than to find the guy that she wanted to be with. Dina spun it as, oh, Carolina doesn't want to be here. She's pouting. She's this. At no point did she ever say that.
She did. She did say, maybe I should leave. Maybe I, don't know enough about him. All this stuff.
Agree to disagree. That's my final take on that.
I'm with you, Jen. I'm with you. Sorry, Ryan. I'm with you.
It's all good. This is the beauty of this show. We're allowed. Listen, if we all agree, it's not going to be any fun, right? What's the point of all having the same opinions?
But on this, we will never agree.
We will never agree.
I think that Carolina was manipulating the whole time.
Carolina got done dirty. Cue up the Rose clip.
Oh, come on.
We want to hear it.
Wait, I don't think that I backstabbed you.
I feel like you did.
You did me dirty.
And now she got sent home because I think that was the final straw in Grant's mind, because he thought she was talking crap about other women and causing all this drama in the house. None of that happened. And that's what Dina implied happened.
Drama.
It did not cause drama. Her honesty caused drama. You know what? If I'm going to be honest right now, it's causing drama, right? So you're going to get mad at me for being honest about my opinions because it's causing drama on the show? Same principle. Same principle.
Here's the difference between me and Carolina. I'm not mad at you for voicing your feelings.
Right. Okay.
I'm not mad at you for voicing your opinion.
And they shouldn't have been either.
And I'm not going to go around and say to like our bosses, oh, you know what? Ryan was saying this and blah, blah, blah.
They shouldn't have been mad either. That's my whole point.
Her voicing her opinions for the length of time that she did stole time away from everybody.
Listen.
And you know what, though? All right. I'll take your side a smidge, Ryan, because if I was one of those other women, after you're there for about 5-10 minutes, I'm going to walk my butt down the hill and say, hey, guys, how's it going? Look serious, but can I steal you for a minute?
Again, I agree with you on that. Her approach was not great. But at no point did I ever think she was there for the wrong reasons. At no point did I ever think she was trashing other women in the house. At no point did I think she was causing drama. I agree with her. She's like, no matter what I say, if I say I'm having a great day, they're upset. If I say I'm having a bad day, they're upset. Like, there was nothing that she could say.
That's true.
So
that is true. In the end.
That's ultimately what it came down to. And I thought that
We're going to have to agree to disagree. And
she was one of the best four. I thought, and should have made it to hometowns.
But Latia, who we go to the one-on-one, the last one-on-one, and we all agree on this, is that she is, I think, the pick to win. The question now becomes, as they had another emotional moment at dinner, all this other stuff. The question now becomes, will the religion play a factor in all of this? Grant's eyes lit up when she said Mormonism. He goes, oh, the whole polygamy thing. No, he did not say that. She and I can see you rolling your eyes. No, they did not say that.
I am.
But, let's be honest, let's be honest, friends.
She has a very conservative.
Yes. They both are, they both want God to be a part of their life, which is great for them. But will this religion play a factor in this? And we kind of got a glimpse next week that it may be an issue. So we'll see. But overall, I love their one-on-one date. I love the emotional side of Grant again, and he's proving to be a great bachelor.
Yeah, and they just seem to have such a genuine, pure connection where I think if they had met in the real world, they would have hit it off. It just seems like they could be meant to be together. However, I think it's very smart that he's going to the hometown to really immerse himself with her family.
Yeah.
See if he can fit into her world and likewise her into his and what her family thinks about all this, if they can work through this.
Yeah, I do feel like it's going to be interesting to see because, I've known people where religion and politics and that sort of thing can ruin a relationship and ruin a marriage. So I think that is something that they definitely have to have major conversations about and figure things out. I will say, for Latia and Grant together, they seem to be very mature. Like, it's the most mature relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
They just they fit. They work well. They're in similar businesses. Like, I think she's a venture capitalist and he does day trading. So they're both in the finance world. So there's that. But they do have this emotional maturity that I think really meshes well together. And so I think that should she be the final pick, that they will be able to figure out the other stuff that they need to figure out.
Yeah, next week's going to be fascinating when he meets her family. But how about the end of the date, ladies? When the producer's like, "Are you falling in love with him?" And she said yes.
And he told her.
He said it first.
Yeah. He said it first to her face. I was shocked.
Right.
I was like, whoa. So I was like, well, maybe Juliana isn't the top pick. Maybe. I mean, we got a real race here.
I know we do.
And then we've also got, skipping ahead to the rose ceremony here, we've got Dina, who I wasn't sure he was going to pick.
Yep.
And Zoe.
And Zoe, I think we can agree, is the first person in the history of this show to not get a one-on-one date and make the final four, make it all the way to hometowns. And when they had their little talk at the rose ceremony, or at the group date, I should say, when he was just like, "Listen, I love that you're being real with me, and this is what I'm looking for." And I ultimately think, much like in the rose ceremony, it came down to Zoe and Carolina, and he went with Zoe. And it's going to be fascinating to watch all this unfold. I love the clip for next week when Juliana's dad was like, "Did you just kiss my daughter?"
He's got to be kidding, right?
I don't think that he is.
Like my dad.
I don't think he is.
That sounds like something my dad would have said.
Would he have been kidding, Gina, or would that be serious?
Well, I'll save it for another time. But he did do that to a guy that I dated. He made a joke, but made it sound very serious.
Okay.
So it is an Italian dad thing for sure.
Well,
we'll see if he's serious or not. I don't know.
Well, we're going to find out soon enough next week on The Bachelor. We're down to the final four. I feel like the season has just flown on by.
Flying.
And we are so happy that you've been with us for every step of the way. For Gina and Jen, I'm Ryan. We'll see you next week on Play in the Field.